Hey Tyler, how are you? We're back at it.
We're live. Here we are. Welcome back.
Yes. So I'm going to post this on our LinkedIn social media and to see if we can get some people to come hang out with us. Give me 1 second and then we'll grab that. But yeah, man, Tyler, tell me. I mean, it's been like a couple weeks since we've chatted. So what's on your mind? What's been going on?
Yeah, so we've been digging into a few of these features here for the next release. It's been really exciting. A lot of things going on at once. We've also been kind of trying to organize how we're going to tackle these. We do have it all kind of. I know we looked under the covers at the start of this release and kind of showed everyone else how we do our cut list, how we get down to a PRD for our releases. And yeah, I think we've talked about a lot of those features, but there's one that we haven't talked about yet, and it's possibly going to be on this next release, probably further down the line. But SBC routing has been something we've actually implemented in a couple different ways for a few customers, and I think that's a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I think I think people probably don't understand what that means. Uh, because I think a
Mhm.
lot of people think that dSIPRouter is acting as a SBC, and I think we kind of see it as um, we're more of, I guess you could look at it as doing SBC-ish stuff, um, more than acting as a pure SBC. And
Mhm.
I think what people have been asking for is for us to have more SBC functionality, and that's really, I think, what we want to like just chat about here. And it really, for us, is really around like, I think this for us is more therapeutic. It's about getting it out for us and talking through it as we can come to grips on what people are asking. And I think it's good for other folks who are listening to us to send us notes, feedback on it as well. But let's kind of like lay out like the difference between a proxy and a SBC. So like,
Yeah. Let's get some history down.
yeah. So if you look at a proxy, I look at a proxy being something that doesn't necessarily makes any major changes to the actual SIP messages being processed. It is simply passing those messages through. And so, for example, if you have a PBX and you have a carrier, so PBX on this side, carrier on this side, and so you want a proxy in between these two. The proxy is not necessarily making changes to the core messages, but are simply maybe rewriting some things, because maybe the upstream carrier wants the actual, let's say, the DID to be in E164 format, which means a +1 in front of the phone number being routed out, or for some reason we're just trying to like maybe hide like the upstream carrier, or the details of the upstream carrier from the PBX. So that's kind of the like how I see a proxy. I don't know if you want to add to that, Tyler.
Yeah, let me just lay down a little bit of history. So RFC 3261, the original SIP RFC, we're going all the way back to the RFC. So
Yeah,
the
I like it.
original RFC actually just states three different types of devices: the UAC, the proxy, and the UAS. Excuse me, just getting over a coffee. The UAC is the client, the UAS is your server. So we kind of typically will relate that to a media server, or a PBX. And then your proxy is just something in the middle that's handling where does this destination go. And then two versions of the proxy are laid out there, a stateful and stateless proxy. So kind of the end of this, kind of where we're coming to with dSIPRouter, is that as you go from stateless to stateful and to this concept of adding in some of those extra features to make it an SBC, we're kind of transitioning to less and less of I just proxy the request. There's more customer lookups. There's more specific routing use cases, LNP use cases, LRN. All those type of things are kind of lumped into SBC. So SBC isn't really a term that is defined in the RFCs, but it's more defined in the industry. So it's sometimes the SBC will include like a back-to-back user agent or media server, like all in one. And then it'll handle the big difference that you'll see in the industry when people say, oh, it's an SBC, is that it will handle sessions as well. So when a call comes in from one side, and then it will have a call ID. On the other side, it'll have a different call ID. So when you're talking about Camilio, the platform that we started dSIPRouter on, it is a proxy and it doesn't handle any of those session details. It won't cut you new call IDs and keep track of these two different legs. It's still the same like call leg for Camilio. So when we're talking about these SBC features, we've been bolting these on as time has gone, and people have been asking for, hey, can we do this topology hiding? Can we do all these extra things? And it's just kind of grown into that. It's expanded more. So that's where we came from and where we're kind of heading with dSIPRouter.
Yeah, and I think the word heading, I think we're going to make it an option so that people can select if they want that type of routing or not. So I think we'll have both. So we'll be like the traditional, but definitely we'll have the ability to do more SBC-ish type functionality. Now, here goes the thing. Like when we started dSIP, we picked Camilio because that's what we were using the most. And so I've seen people like, use like FreeSwitch or some other product to do like the whole back-to-back user agent thing. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we are going to be like doing some things to make Camilio act like kind of a I don't want to say act like a back-to-back user agent. In some cases, yeah, because some people want to hide the topology. They want to do certain things that that comes for free when you're using a back-to-back user agent such as FreeSwitch or Asterisk. So the question really comes down to is like, should we, how should we be adding this functionality to dSIP 1? And I think the answer is like, we're going to add it because we have customers adding it, but is it the right place? Or should we say, all right, if you turn on, SBC functionality, should it be routing out, like say FreeSwitch, for example, and we support FreeSwitch? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there as a counter. Say, don't kill me. I'm just saying, like, we're doing a lot of work in order to make, Camilio provide SBC functionality.
Yeah. So what we've been experimenting with, to Mack's point here, is we've been experimenting with having switches for the stateless and stateful and strict versus loose routing, and we've been kind of experimenting if there's ways that we can segment those. And we have a pretty good idea how we're gonna move that forward, but we have a lot of tech debt with this project, so there's only so much segmenting we can do. We can't really just add an option for another back-to-back user agent easily. We can't just throw in FreeSwitch locally or a lightweight B2BA. So we're going to be rolling some of those features out, and I guess to like explain a couple of the other features that like people have been looking for and some of the SBC functionality that a lot of people are requesting. And of course the fire alarm starts going off right then.
Hey man, if you gotta go. I can handle this. You can come back. So listen. I mean, listen and see if there's a problem.
I'm gonna check my email.
You go check your email. They send out email alerts.
Yeah, usually it's somebody with popcorn, just
That's the thing, man. That's the thing. Hey, check. Hey, we can pause for a second, man.
I'm not seeing anything in my email.
Go mute for a second. Go check outside. Make sure the building isn't dying. And
Yeah.
I'll talk real quick, and then you come back.
Uh,
I'm assuming if you come back, we know that it's nothing. If you don't come back, we'll see you on the next episode.
all right, sounds good. I'll go deal with this. All right, see
All
you,
right, no
everybody.
problem. All right, no problem. All right, so I think really what we wanted to chat about today was really around like what is these SBC features really what are they? What kind of impact will they have to us? How will we implement those into the product? And I think we want to get feedback from folks around some of these features. So if you look at like when you do SBC routing, one of the things that go along with that is that you want to do what's called topology hiding. So you don't want necessarily your customers knowing the IP addresses of your carriers, because just for one reason or another, you may want to keep that information just private. So if you're going to do SBC, if you're going to do like SBC functionality, that's probably one of the things that kind of goes along with it. So we'll be adding some topology hiding as well. And we'll just, I don't know if we're going to actually have it so that if you turn on SBC routing, topology hiding will happen automatically. I'm not sure if we want to do that or not. I think that sounds good to me because we don't want to have too many switches that people have to turn in order to get this functionality. But we're thinking through that as well. The other thing is that we're kind of thinking through like one of the big issues is where do we how do we actually lay out the actual screen layout to actually specify when you turn it into SBC mode or not. So one of the things that we're working on in this release is that we're actually taking all of the admin parameters and switches and we're putting it in the GUI. Like we have a lot of parameters for this all inside the settings file. We're moving all of that to the UI. Now we're just trying to figure out also is if we're going to do this SBC thing, should we put it somewhere very apparent so people know that they're in SBC mode versus being in normal proxy mode, which is our kind of our default mode that we're in typically. So we're just kind of going through and trying to think through how we want to visualize this for our users, which is important because we don't want to cause more confusion. We want to provide more functionality, more flexibility, but we don't want to cause more confusion. And that's the other thing that we're concerned about. So anyway, if you have feedback around that, let us know. We'll love to hear more about like what you're trying to do. Is this something that you would need? It will really help us out. The other thing I want to talk about here is that there's we're looking for I guess recommendations on carriers that you want us to support out of the box, or integrations in particular, or integrations just in general that you want us to support. One of the integrations that one of the things that we're doing in this release is that we're adding a whole concept of carrier plugins, and this is where we'll have the whole concept is that you'll be able to use one of the carrier plugins. It'll grab all the DIDs that are on your account, and you can actually assign phone numbers from that account to endpoint groups inside of dSIPRouter. So it makes it much easier for you to route. It'll minimize the amount of tabs and things you need to have open to like look at your carrier and then specify the the endpoint group that they need to route to. You'll be able to see all your phone numbers there. So that's a big thing I think is going to hopefully make life easier for everybody. And then I think we want to understand like what carriers are people using that they will see get value from this. Right now, FlowRoute's the first one we're going to support, and that's mainly because we've been using FlowRoute for a while. We look at them as being one of the first in the programmatic SIP trunking game. And then we're just trying to figure out who else should we support. So letting us know will actually help us get there. So, hey, Tyler, you're back, buddy.
Yeah, it's false alarm. So I'm just
Okay.
gonna be muting and unmuting here until they turn it
Okay,
off.
got it. No, I'm actually just finishing up. So what I was telling them about is that I was just really just talking to them about the kind of talked about the SBC stuff, kind of finished that up. If people have any type of input or have any recommendations, I talked about where should we put it in the UI to enable it. Like should it be something that is very visible so people know they're in SBC mode versus being in proxy mode. And then I kind of pivoted to talking about other plugins that we're gonna start having in the product, and I talked about the carrier plugin architecture and around being able to figure out be able to see all the DIDs that they have in their carrier accounts inside of the dSIPRouter GUI. And then I just talked about like, is there other functionality or plugins or things that would make their life easier? Just let us know, because we're really just trying to figure out how to make the overall, I guess, workflow of a VoIP interconnected provider, I guess, which is the formal name, that life a lot easier. So that's all. I don't know if you have something to add there.
Yeah, so the decision on when to make the decision on whether you're using SBC routing, like strict routing or loose routing, is a little difficult actually. So if you just set it on like a carrier group or an endpoint group, that's one way of your call. And then what if you have like a different setting for the other endpoint group, the endpoint group versus carrier group? So we got to kind of think through those things. A lot of these settings, when you start to get to dialog and state management across the entire call and not just a transaction or not just a leg of the call, it gets a little hard to figure out where that's going to live. But yeah, I think if anybody is testing the beta right now in the QA quality assurance branch, we actually already did an update for making the reload more visible. I think we might do something like that if we do like overall modes. I tend to, with any application, try to stick away from modes, like a global mode, because it makes it very hard to learn the application. Think about it like when you're in, I don't know, your Photoshop or photo editing, GIMP, you select a mode and then it changes everything, like how all the tools interact. So now you gotta think as a user, like, oh, I'm in this mode, this is how I interact with it. And then, oh, I need to change this mode. So it's not very good from a UI standpoint. So those are things that we're thinking through, things that we want to make sure we get right and it doesn't make it more difficult for your processes. But yeah, we've played around with the entire SBC or the entire dSIPRouter platform operating under one type of mode versus a different type of mode when you actually like spit it up. Maybe we'll go down that route. Maybe we'll find another point of entry in the actual routing decision making.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, like to play around with it being at the question really becomes like, is it at the carrier level or is it at the endpoint level of where you make a decision of it being in SBC mode? Because like for the use cases that we have now, the SBC mode has been at the carrier level, not necessarily at the endpoint level. But I get your point. So having it at the individual, at the carrier level, like each individual carrier, you can specify if you wanted to be in SBC mode or not. Will give the end user the biggest level of flexibility. And
Mhm.
I think it'll be different. Like we don't like. I think most of the people like when you buy an SBC, like off the shelf SBC audio codes or one of these, like you're in one mode. You know what I mean? Like I mean, you can relax like certain things on a carrier, but like being able to do it at the carrier level may be a game changer for a lot of people that use our product.
Yeah, it's a good question to see whether that makes sense, or if it's at the route level when you actually match on a route, inbound or outbound, or maybe at a customer level. So we're adding some more customer integrations where you're going to have your customer info. You want to associate it to a customer. Say this customer, all of their SBCs are going to be operating in this mode. A lot of different ways you can play it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think this was a good conversation about like SBCs, and we got to see we know your fire alarm system works in your building, so this is great.
Definitely
So
works.
I know you.
It definitely works.
Definitely, you're safe. But anyway, what are you excited about for the next couple of weeks? Anything coming up? The holidays are coming. I know you're going on a little vacation too, but anything you're excited about from a dSIPRouter project perspective?
Yeah, so I'm excited about a lot of things. There's all these features that we've been talking about on the last few streams for this next release. There's a lot of like really complex scenarios and edge cases, which I really like. We're going to be diving into those. Mid registrar, full registrar, active synchronization, things like that. So those are fun, interesting problems to solve. And I think it'll give our users, it'll give you guys a lot of new tools and new experiences. So I'm really excited to start to dive further into those. And on the back end, we're also working on some other big data sets for a few customers. And I'll be committing back upstream some fixes for that. So I'm interested to get some more PRs over to the Camilio team and get that all committed, give back to the community a little bit. So, what about you, Mac? What are you excited for coming up?
That's a good question. So, I think getting these are silly things, but getting the UI to a point where people can go in and put whatever options, select all the options there. I think it's going to open it up to a larger audience of people, which I think dSIP already unlocks people who don't necessarily want to get into the weeds of Camilio. But I think this is going to really unlock them and be able to allow people to do things. And then I think secondly, we definitely need to start figuring out what is our AI strategy around this. Like, what can we do to make people's lives easier around our product and using AI? I don't know if like having a little assistant that helps people do stuff inside the product, because I don't think dSIP's that complicated, and we don't want to make it. I don't want to create an avenue to make it complicated. Whereas we're like, oh yeah, we can throw all kind of stuff in here now. We have an AI agent that you can tell it what you want to do and it'll go do it for you. But I do think that maybe, and we talked about this for a while, and I haven't did much with it. Like really maybe getting more serious about releasing an MCP server, so that allows people to be able to like, use the product from their whatever agent, whatever AI agent or assistant that they want to use. So for example, they potentially may be able to do something like say, give me, set up a new endpoint inside of dSIPRouter in dSIPRouter. I'm sorry, the agent, whatever it is, if it's ChatGPT, if it's Claude, whoever, will be like, okay, it understands that and goes and sets up a new endpoint group with the IP address that was provided by the end user. So just should we be pairing dSIPRouter with an agent that can go do some of that work, or maybe a better use case? Give me all the calls that happen. I'm looking for fraudulent calls. Give me all the calls that happen from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. that were like 15 seconds in length, and how many of it was it? So maybe just making it easier for people to do those type of things.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where that's gonna land in the product. I know we're both kind of on the same page with where those integrations kind of stop and where they're not useful. Using a black box when you're trying to configure your very expensive backend carriers and customers, you just don't really want to do that. But searching through, like a big data set of CDRs, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, if there's tighter integrations we can do with AI agents. I think DigitalOcean has some interesting ideas there where they can spin up pretty quickly AI agents. So
yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting just to play around. But yeah, that's it. That's my thing, man. So hey, this has been great. We will be back. If not next week, the week after. Sometimes we're just taking breaks because we're working on stuff. But I think these weekly or bi-weekly meetings are very useful. It just allows us to engage and talk about the product in general. So
yeah, quick blurb. Don't
yeah.
forget to join our Slack channel. The link is in the description.
All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.